Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today we're discussing a watch launched in 20 pieces in 2014. This is the HYT H2 Titanium White Gold Blue, and it is everything that the name implies. The watch is quite straightforward at 48.8 millimeters in diameter. You're going to find large at 18 millimeters thick and broad at 56.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It has a 25 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, my wrist is 16 centimeters circumference, and I'm going to leave it to your judgment whether this watch is too big for me, but I will say I think you need a wrist of 17 centimeters circumference or larger to wear this watch well. It's light enough, though by no means light, given that it does include white gold and an enormous amount of volume, but I do think the 17 centimeter circumference wrist wears this without a care. Any wrist smaller is going to be a bit self-conscious about the disparity between case size and wrist size. The watch is nicely made, and it includes a very high-grade strap. Oftentimes when straps integrate this precisely to the flank of a case, it means there's some sort of insert within the strap, like a rigid piece of fiberglass or plastic, to help mold it to the contours of the case and the lugs. So we have a very thick-cut leather strap here with medium rectangular scale alligator leather and a matte black finish with a contrasting blue stitch. You can see it has a very broad and sheer folded edge, and then on the bottom it is calf skin. You can see it is an HYT strap in excellent condition. We have an HYT buckle here. It is made of titanium, and it is a twin trigger release, so you have to press both to pop it open, and then the strap tucks in, and once it's tucked and buckled, it sits underneath the clasp body and underneath the other side of the strap, so there's no need for clumsy strap minder loops. It's a very trim, neat, and attractive arrangement. Now, the case is made of white gold and titanium, and here's how it breaks down. The primary canister for the dial and the movement is made of titanium, but the bezel and the lugs are made of white gold. You can also see that there's a tonal contrast between the mid case and the bezel and the case back, as well as the crown guard structure and the white gold and the titanium. The crown features an HYT H. You can see it's both media blasted and polished, and it has a little rubber shoulder on it. The crown does screw down, and the watch is 50 meters water resistant, so between the combination of the two, it is surface swimmable. You just want to remember not to get the leather strap wet. The crystal is extraordinarily vaulted and cambered. You can see this is a true box section sapphire, not a cheap piece to make by any means. You'll also appreciate that the case has quite a diversity of finish, with media blasting within the hollows of the lug, satination on the bezel and lug hoods, and then polish on the flanks of the lugs. We also have a DLC treatment on this little 6 at the base of the dial, as well as the crown guard structure. And for the most part, the watch is pretty immune from scratches, because as tall as this sapphire is, it's going to catch most of the knocks to the watch, and sapphire is very difficult to scratch. The dial is one and the same as the HYT H2 movement, which is designed, finished, and manufactured for them by Audemars Piguet Reynaud Papy. So this is a very high-end caliber. Let's talk about the bare tech specs. Okay, first, power reserve. Manual wind, it is 8 days, so 192 hours. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It has a free-sprung architecture and a full dual-anchored balance bridge to make it more resilient against shocks and concussions. We have a multi-mode crown, like a lot of APRP watches, including those it makes for Richard Mille, and you'll appreciate that we have a multi-mode indicator for the setting and winding functions of the watch. There's also a neutral position. Now, opposite that, you can see that there's a little go, no-go temperature indicator. So you can see right now it is in the white zone. When that little index moves to the blue zone just below, you're getting into that no-go temperature zone. Also important to note, we have 2 splayed reservoirs. What appear to be cylinders of maybe a motorcycle engine, they're actually reservoirs that contain 2 immiscible liquids. One is blue, that you can see, but the one you really can't see is the clear one. And the meniscus between the two indicates the current hours. So this is actually a regulator display, as we have a separate indication of hours and minutes. Now, if you take a look, we'll bring the multi-mode crown back into action, and I'll demonstrate a couple of the features here. First, when you reach the end of the travel, the end of your 12-hour span, that little meniscus, here we go, we're about to pass 12, it retrogrades all the way back to the beginning and starts another 12-hour journey from side to side. So not only is it a regulator, it is a retrograde. Now here's a unique feature. Because there is a dead space between the base and the succeeding arc, the minute hand will actually just jump straight across when it gets to that point. All right, what else can we say? Well, this movement has two mainspring barrels, and as you can see from the reverse side, the movement is generally quite well finished. It's a 28 jewel caliber, and those two barrels are skeletonized, so you can actually see the coiling of the mainsprings inside, which you can effectively use to judge the remaining power reserve of the watch with time. You can also see the logo of Kellogg's down at the bottom of the sapphire on the case back, indicating that the well-known case maker constructed this case for HYT. There's a lovely swan's neck style click spring and a click adjacent to that, and you can see that all of the bridges are either a deep matte black or a matte gray for a sort of machine age grayscale aesthetic. And all of the screws are black polished, so it is quite nicely finished. This watch gives you a lot. It gives you a lot of mechanical complexity. It gives you a lot of fine finish. It gives you a lot of watch on your wrist, as it is physically huge at almost 50 millimeters in diameter. But there's also a purposeful sort of use of space that makes the most of this canister to spread the movement out, so you can see its innumerable engrossing mechanical details. You can also appreciate that there's this large hovering sapphire scale for reading the minutes. This is an absolute masterpiece. It's going to be love it or hate it, but for those who love, there's a lot to love. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And although I'm sort of working with the lights in my box right now, there is a little bit of lume on the dial of the watch.